The greatest pull was, of course, Sumitra Bhave. And, I started my career with her. I made my debut with her. And when I was in 10th, hardly when like I did a short film called Sakuri. And since then, I have been working in different films, and she has been giving me different roles. And I never thought that he would be my last one with her.
Hello and welcome to SpotboyE. This is Anita in conversation with very talented Amruta. Hi,
Hi.
Amruta. It's such a nice feeling to see you on screen in such a lovely story of Dithee.
Thank you.
एक
Thank you,
तो
Anita.
पहली बात seriously आप Bombay Begum से where your character was so different to
Yeah.
doing a character like this.
Yeah.
Please tell me, was
Parubai.
it yes? Is it a pre-planned thing कि नहीं इसके बाद मैं ऐसे character करूंगी? Was it a conscious decision or no?
Actually, you know what? My life has been a journey which is flowing, And actually, I did Parubai before I did Bombay Begums. Parubai happened, like, Parubai is my character's name from Dithee. So
Yeah,
Dithee happened much before Bombay Begum. And in fact, I remember discussing Bombay Begums with Sumitra
uh,
Bhave, the film who created Dithee. And
correct.
I haven't planned anything, but life has been really very kind. And I'm fortunate that these filmmakers are trusting me with different kind of roles. And as you rightly said, Paruba is completely different, and Lily from Bombay Begums is
Yeah,
completely different, and then now Dhamaka would come, which would be completely different than all this. So, which is she's a very up class kind of a character, and it's
yeah.
different from Parubai. Parubai is completely earthy, and she has a cow, and I don't know whether you've seen the film, but then her cow
I've seen the
plays.
trailer.
Oh, you have. Okay.
Uh-huh.
So from the look, you can make out that she's completely different from all these characters. So it was not planned, but I always say that universe is my personal manager. So universe keeps planning things for me, and so I'm very grateful that Parubai happened, and she's one of the really. She's very near to my heart. Yeah.
Right. So, talking about Parubai, what about her character that really, touched you, or what is that one thing that you've learned from her, and how close is that character to you as a person?
Because life is complicated, so the questions about a film about life have to be complicated, like one after another. They are layered questions. So yeah, I would just say that the greatest pull was, of course, Sumitra Bhave. And I started my career with her. I made my debut with her. And when I was in 10th, hardly when like I did a short film called Sakuri. And since then, I have been working in different films, and she has been giving me different roles. And I never thought that he would be my last one with her, frankly. And she has been a very, very big influence on my life, also personal life, not only film
Hmm.
career, but also personal life. So whenever things come from her, like whenever she approached me, like whenever she said you have to do this, then I just do it. Like I still cannot talk about her in past tense. So I'm still saying
Yeah.
I just do it, but actually I used to do it. So that was the thing with DT also. That before I read the script or anything, it was Sumitra Bhave's film for me. So there was no question that I'm not doing it. I have to do it. So it's my family. It was my family, and I have always looked at her projects as my family. But then yes, each of her films and each of her characters taught me different lessons. With Dithee, the lesson was how to come in terms with loss of a loved one, which always is difficult lesson, right, Anita? I mean, we
Right.
all are going through it right now, and then we know how difficult that grief is, and it's a strange coincidence that she passed away on 19th of
Yeah.
last month, and this happens to be her last lesson for me, and this is a strange coincidence. But as you asked me about Parubai, the greatest pull for me was like she would, even in lockdown, she was talking to me about the film she wanted to do with me next, which was again a different character. So, like Parubai also, she used to discuss a lot, about the character. And then the greatest thing was that she taught me how much a filmmaker can give to an actor for preparing the role, So she would carry us to the locale of the character. Like, we always shot the film, all the films I shot with, including
Hmm.
Dithee, and actual locations. So there, we were just thinking, because this role was a little bit older than my own age.
Yeah.
So we were just thinking how would we go about it. So there is this thing, Parubai has a cow, and there is some difficulty that the cow is pregnant, and there is some complications in her pregnancy. So she goes to Kishore Kadam's character, and that cow and her pregnancy plays a very, very important role in something which Kishore is going through. So that
Right.
is kind of a thing. So for people in village, cow is not someone. It's not an animal. Like, for example, Bud is not an animal. Like,
Yeah.
he's someone.
He's my
He's a
son.
family.
Yeah.
Exactly. So likewise, that cow is a daughter for me. Like, so it's my
Yeah.
daughter is pregnant. So me and my Shashank Shende, a very, very good actor, he played my husband. So we are very, very tense, as if like our actual daughter has some problems with pregnancy, and so it's like a family member. So this, and the chemistry between these two people was a very interesting thing, which Sumitra Maushi worked out. Which is like, normally it is said that, husband is a stronger partner, and
Yeah.
wife is vulnerable and crying. But here she
Yeah.
wanted, like, she wanted Shashank to play a character who is vulnerable being. He's vulnerable, and Parubai is a stronger partner between the two. So she's more
Right.
practical, and then she told me to, take out the melody in my voice, because she wanted this character, more, in Marathi there is a word called zada bharda awaz, the voice which is
Hmm.
devoid of
Yeah.
any melody, which would be like, without any emotion, but very, very strong, and baser voice. So she wanted that kind of a voice for the character. That's what she said. So that was very interesting to visualize, but it was very challenging also, because we have to carry it throughout the film, and it should not look
Yeah.
forced or false. So life helps us in such matters. So when I went on the set, this village, I had to wear sari in a particular manner. If you have seen the look
Hmm.
from the trailer, so there was this woman in the village who used to help me tie this sari, and she had this voice which I'm talking about. And Sumitra
Hmm.
Maushi told me, I want that voice. So observe her. I want that
Hmm.
voice. So then I used to observe her, and she was not aware that I'm observing her. But then I would come home, like I would come on set and just try and bring that voice into the character. So that was the most interesting thing about Parubai to portray, I think. And I hope that it comes like, I hope that the audience will enjoy that change in my voice.
Right. Diti talks about how you overcome loss. And it is a
Yeah,
heavy subject. It is a heavy film. Emotionally, it's very heavy. I'm very sure.
yeah.
How emotionally draining was it for you when you were doing the character, when you were playing the character?
Uh, you know what? Sumitra Maushi has this great. I really find it. It was so challenging when I did Astu. Also, all her subjects were very complicated. Like Astu, she talks about Alzheimer's, but then
Hmm.
she was never preachy. So as far as Dithee
Yeah.
is also concerned, when I watched Dithee for the first time, I realized that it was, though it's a very complicated subject, it hit me emotionally. But while
Hmm.
doing the film, as you asked me, while doing the film, even while I was doing Astu and when I was doing Dithee, the characters, most of the characters would be, uh, they will talk about transcending or going beyond. So while we were, so for actors, like for me, it was always a journey of going beyond something. And that's why that character, every character taught me something. So for us too, that film, my it taught me to go beyond Alzheimer's, because my father had Alzheimer's, and Sumitra Maushi had seen how I went, like it troubled me and it stressed me. And then, so that was an opportunity to go beyond all that stress. So likewise, I realized that while doing Dithee, it was more of transcending that thing, going beyond that thing. And when I watched it for the first time in Mami, it was, I could, it was a surreal experience that, this going, all of us were crying, but those tears were not of only of pain, because, everyone has gone through this thing of losing a loved one and
Yes.
being shattered by it, being devastated because of it. Because this grief, you think that you are in terms with it, but sometimes it stabs you again unawareingly,
Yeah.
and then you are like, oh my god, I thought I was in terms with this, but suddenly you see your father's shirt or something and you start crying, and you are like, oh my god, I had thought that it's all over, but it comes again, and you're right there.
Yeah.
It just stabs you. So all of us in the audience were crying, but then that crying was of going beyond, in the sense that all of us have this space inside us which can stand centered in spite of all the devastation, in spite of all the shattering. And
Right.
Sumitra Maushi could carry us to that space emotionally through Dithee. And when, because she talks about this non-duality, Advaita, we call it that
Huh.
thing. But then she's not preachy, because at the end of the film there is this music is a very integral part of this film, and Parth Umrani has done music. And the last abhang of a very great saint from Marathi called Jnaneshwar. We pronounce it Jnaneshwar. In Hindi, it would be Jnaneshwar.
Janice.
So Jnaneshwar, and his abhanga comes where he says that देखने वाला और मतलब दिठी, like जो देख रहा है वो और जो देखने वाला है वो एक हो चुके हैं. Like he talks about all these non-duality of everything. Like
Yes.
नाक और फ्रेग्रेंस एक हो चुके हैं, सुनना और
Hmm.
कान एक हो चुके हैं. So that kind of abhanga, that is like you and me are one, everyone is one. So
Yeah.
that abhanga gives that siddhant of non-duality to you very emotionally. So all of us were crying, and we were going beyond everything, and we had this feeling that yes, all of us are connected, and not only human beings, but bird is connected to me, and then this tree
Hmm.
outside is connected to me, and and my cow in Parubai's cow is connected to her. So all of us are connected, and this connectedness will give us strength to come in terms with the loss of the loved ones which we have lost. Like they are not, and in a way they are connected to us, though not bodily. So I keep
Hmm.
saying Sumitra Maushi is not with us physically. So after Dithee, now I have started saying things like these. So I really hope that, so as coming back to your question, it was not it was not tiring. On the contrary, it was discovering of a space inside me which was much more centered, and which was much more going beyond.
Hmm. Right. So, what was your, sorry to touch a very emotional for this right
No,
now,
no.
but what was
Yeah.
your last conversation with Sumitra Maushi?
uh yeah, so
Over that and
so as I told you, it caught me suddenly. So yeah, because I was like, you think that you have started learning, because so my last conversation, I remember it was during lockdown, and I have written a book called Ek Sulat Ek Ulat, Ek Ulat Ek Sulat in Marathi. So it is on my own experiences, and it's in Marathi. And that book, so I had gifted her that book, and she was always busy because she would always be thinking about which film to make, and then she would always be writing her new scripts. And she was so somehow she couldn't get time. And in the lockdown, she called me and she said, Amrita, I'm reading your book. And it's such a good book. You write so well, and I think you should keep writing. And I was like, oh, you're reading my book. I'm so happy because, she herself, she has read so much, and
yeah.
she was so wise, so learned. So a person like her reading my book was a very, it touched me. And so that was my last conversation with her. But before that, she was also, we kept calling each other. So, for example, every role I would keep discussing to her. For example, I told her about Lily, then I would tell, oh, this is that kind of character. And because before she came to this field, before she
Hmm.
became a filmmaker, she has worked a lot. She was a social worker. So she had seen many women and she had dealt with their questions very closely. So she had seen many women. So each of her women, each of the women in her film would be a very strong woman character, and she would
Yeah.
know that character very closely. So she would teach me many things about these minds. So she taught, she used to talk a lot about, and I'm I'm very happy about one thing in all this loss, that last some days, after COVID, uh, one thing changed inside me. It has told me that many things you take for granted, and now
Mm.
I'm trying my best not to do that. Like for example, hugging my mother. This was a thing I really took for granted, that hugging my mother. But now, she's in a different space, and when I go to her, I'm scared of hugging her, and I'm like, oh God, something should not happen to her. So
Yeah.
likewise, so after COVID and everything happened, I had just called Sumitra Moshi once, and I had told her, Sumitra Moshi, I'm very grateful to life that you came in my life when I was really very small, and those were my learning years. Still, I'm learning, but those were like really like very young age when you're learning, like you're very passionate. And I didn't plan me meeting her, but then I was very small, and she came in my life, and she was my first guru from the
Yeah.
industry, and she, taught me so many things. But I could tell her this, and she was like, "What are you talking about? Why are you telling me all this?" So I was like, "No, I just felt like doing that. I don't know why I have called you, but I just want you to know that you have given me some of the greatest moments of my life, and
Mm.
thank you, you know." And thank God I did that.
And we'll always remember that. We always remember the. And the reason I ask you this question is because we always remember the last conversation that we have with someone, and
Yeah.
now it is more important to remember because you never know. Life is very short. You can, just anything can happen anytime.
Yes.
So yeah.
Right. And we lost. I mean, when I got the news, I was like, oh my God. I mean, yeah, everyone is getting shocked of because of
Mm.
certain news we are getting right now. But yeah, yeah. Thank you for this question.
All right. I have a last question because I think we are running out of time. Your
Yeah.
next is Dhamaka. Can you give me some more details on that? You
Uh yeah, so it's coming on Netflix, and
yeah.
I'm very, very happy that, as I told you, Universe has been my personal manager. So I never, I have never, even Dhamaka I had not planned. So after first lockdown got, like, it was getting over, uh, I I auditioned for this role, and I really wanted to do this role from Dhamaka because it was again very, very different from Lily, and it
Mm.
came. Her economic background was different. She was this corporate producer, and then her language was different, and I had to groom myself in a different manner. So like, I had to, cut my hair short, and completely different look, as you see in the teaser. It was this halter neck blouse with a very classy
Yeah.
sari, and Tia Chandani, she styled me wonderfully. And of course, so Ram sir was always on my wish list. I really wanted to work with him, and it was an amazing experience. And I would like to talk about it at length when the project is nearer, maybe. But of course, I'm grateful that I could work with him, because uh, for a person like me who comes from theater, his style of working
Mm.
was different, and it was completely in sync with my, it was dream come true, actually. The kind of way he has of working, which we will definitely talk at length when the project is nearer. But I hope that she also, like, she's different. Ankita, her name is Ankita, and she's again very, very different from Parubai. And uh, well, uh, Karthik calls me bitch on screen in the teaser, so I don't want to say anything more
But how
about
was
her.
working with him? How was working with him? How is he on the set?
Oh, he's such a darling. I loved working with him, and I loved him as a human being, and I loved his spirit. And I think he's very instinctive. His so give and take was it was very interesting to, if I change my tone, he'll change his tone. That kind of give and take was happening, so which was a lot of fun to have. And I learned about his story while I was working with him. Like, he came from Gwalior, and he used to stay in Belapur. in this
Yeah.
small room with all other strugglers. I was not aware of his story. And then when I heard that, he used to go from there for auditions, and he used to come to Bombay and he auditioned and he got his first role. And then while he was writing his exam in college, he was also signing his autographs. So this story was so inspiring, and
Yeah.
I like his attitude towards life. He's very positive and he's very down to earth. And it was really great meeting him. He's a
He's
good
come a
guy.
long
So
way. He's come a long way.
he's really come a long way. And yeah, and so his vibes, his energy, everything was just amazing. And we had fun. And more on him. And oh my God. And the kind of fan following he has, and the kind of the girls going crazy for him. I would like to talk at length when the project is nearer, though. But
Surely,
it was
surely.
great fun. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Great.
Witnessing all
Well,
that. Yeah.
we will talk about this more because we have a lot to talk about, and you have really good
Yes.
projects like Dhamaka. And what
Yeah.
else do you have? Sorry,
So right now it's only like I haven't
Dhamaka.
accepted anything else, because they were asking about certain things. Like right now they are going out of Bombay and shooting, but frankly, I'm a little bit apprehensive right now. So like right now I have not accepted anything new, but I'm reading some scripts. So let's hope that something new comes out, and I need your presence for that.
For sure, you will blow us away like whatever, like in the past that you have done. So thank you for
Thank
doing
you.
that.
Thank you
Thank you
so
for
much.
giving us such lovely characters, and all the very best. Looking forward to all
Thank
your
you.
work. Truly.